Right after you log into your Flight Rising account for the first time, making some dragon dollars and getting dragon filthy rich is probably at the top of your to-do list. If you sign up for Flight Rising on August 15th through 20th, or you already have an account, here's how I turn my dragon items into wealth. This entire guide rests on the crux of gathering items, selling in the auction house, and using Baldwin's Brew. Though it isn't necessary, I recommend spending about an hour or two in the Coliseum each week. It's easy to accumulate items on Flight Rising, and today we're going to talk about how to most efficiently sell items. Spreadsheets are powerful, so we're starting today in my item cheat sheet. This isn't required. You can keep track mentally or go item by item in the auction house in multiple windows. But this is what works best for me. There's a link to this sheet's template in the description below. The guiding concept here is that every item can be reduced to make Baldwin materials, and Baldwin materials are often worth more than items. I divided this spreadsheet by item category because each category is reduced to form a different Baldwin material. For instance, familiars become muck. Because all familiars become muck, and the cheapest kind of muck sells for 4,000 treasure, we shouldn't ever sell a familiar for less than 4,000 treasure. Instead of selling it, we would reduce it, make it muck, and then sell that muck. This is the same for each category of item. There's plenty of apparel that is cheaper than the cheapest slime, so we'll keep those cheap apparel items and turn them into slime. It's easy to sell Baldwin materials, and it only takes 30 minutes to reduce any item. After the spreadsheet is complete, we're going to open two auction house windows, one for buying and one for selling. Keep this cheat sheet pinned to the side for reference. Let's start with the apparel. The price range for apparel is vast, and accumulating apparel is so easy it's almost a curse. I always have more apparel than I need, which is okay because it sells very well. We're going to pick an apparel piece we want to sell and see the lowest selling price. These contrast rogue gloves are currently selling at 4,000 treasure, which is less than half as much as what the apparel's cheapest reduced form sells at. In other words, if I sent this item to Baldwin, it would come back worth twice as much as the item is currently worth. So I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to reduce it and sell the reduction. This is true for most apparel, but eventually we'll get to something like this sparkling blue arm bow. On the auction house, it's selling for almost 25,000 treasure. Since that's above the cheapest apparel Baldwin reduction price, I'm going to sell it. When pricing things on the auction house, I recommend putting the duration as 1 day and then getting as close to the lowest price as possible. If the lowest price has more than 1 day remaining, your listing will be above theirs if you list for the same price. If there are none of the item for sale, it's up to you to decide how to price. I'm listing as above the highest slime price because I just want to sell. Familiar pricing is the same. I spend so much of my time reducing familiars because they sell well. Always be careful when you're typing in prices. I definitely just sold at lesser wisp for 10 times less than I meant to. Whoops. I'm only selling familiars that I have duplicates of, by the way. I keep my awakened familiars in my vault and take them out only to sell. That way I know how many I have of each. I'm going through this huge Horde Sale right now because I just set up a payment plan to buy a red-footed acrobeak. The seller and I agreed that I will pay 10,400 gems for the familiar, which is just under 100 United States dollars. Since I don't want to pour that kind of real-life money into the game, I'm trying to liquidate most of my assets. I'm about 1,500 gems to go. Users really underestimate how much the items in their inventory are worth. It's tedious to go through this process, but you can really bring in some treasure. Now for the full circle part of this, selling Baldwin materials. If I'm not brewing something, I'm reducing. It's so easy to hop online throughout the day and toss a familiar into the pot. I do it absent-mindedly and it pays off. This is a great thing to do during festivals or after new levels and recipes are released. The really rare reductions sell quickly. The elephant in the room is that some of the reductions don't sell for much at all. For those, I recommend bringing them into something else, selling that, or reducing it and selling it. This is my main method of Flight Rising income. If you follow this process regularly, you will be rolling in dragon dollars in no time. It's tedious, but I never spend more than a few hours each week doing this. The only time I really get into this is when I'm saving up for something big, like a Kickstarter item or a layer expansion. Anyways, I'd love to hear your treasure making tips in the comments below. I'm sure I overcomplicated some part of this process, so if you have any questions, send them my way. If you enjoyed this video, this exalting unnamed video covers a controversial paradigm in the game. Check it out before you exalt that unnamed triple basic Tundra Dragon. Or check out this video where I explore the idea of the Flight Rising admins re-releasing the Kickstarter familiars. Do you want to see more Flight Rising videos? Like this video and I'll make more faster. Thanks!